Okay, Chairwoman, take it away.
Good afternoon. The meeting is now called to order. Mr. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Chairwoman Harris,
Present.
Vice Chairman Narducci,
Here.
Councilman Correa, Councilman Correa,
Present.
Councilwoman Castillo,
Present.
Councilman Espinal.
Present.
You have five present, you have a quorum.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight we are here to hear the presentation of budget before us tonight. You should have this in front of you, council members. Mr. Clerk, Ms. Clerk, could you please the first item on the agenda?
Communication from His Honor the Mayor dated March 13th, 2020, submitted the Community Development Block Grant Budget for 2020 to 2021.
Right now, I would like to introduce Emily Freeman. She's the director of the division of the Community Development Planning, and she housed the grant, which is our Community Development Block Grant, out of that department. So at this moment, we're going to allow Emily to present to us the budget that is in front of us and to explain to us the budget. And we will open the floor shortly after that for discussion. Emily.
If I may just quick, Tina, do we have to make a motion to accept number one? No.
Are we going to
No.
receive at the end, Council?
We will continue when we're done with the discussion.
And I'm just going to ask everyone in the meeting to please use your mute button if you're not speaking. Hopefully you'll remember to unmute yourself when you want to speak again, but we would reduce greatly the background noise while Emily's speaking. And if I do detect a lot of background noise coming from a particular phone, then I might just mute you, so please don't be offended if you hear a message saying that you've been muted. It's just for the courtesy so that Emily and anyone else who's speaking can be heard clearly without feedback. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Emily?
All right. Good evening, Emily Friedman, Director of Housing and Community Development for the city. I am pleased to join you tonight to present the proposed CDBG budget on behalf of Mayor Elorza. I believe you should all have it in front of you, along with the list of applications received and the mayor's transmittal letter. So this budget, as proposed before you, is the first year of investment under our 2020 to 2024 five-year consolidated plan. This five-year plan and our investments that are to be made under this plan are going to be informed by some fresh and intensive stakeholder and community engagement that we've undertaken, as well as an updated market and needs analysis and an updated review of our access and barriers to fair housing. So this is, again, the first year of what's going to be our next five-year plan. So after establishing those community needs, we are then charged by HUD as a city with the responsibility to select the highest quality services meeting our needs for the best price. To do that, we released an RFP in February and received over 100 proposals. You have the list of all of the applications received in front of you all. Of course, we have all had to make some incredibly difficult decisions due to the tremendous level of ask that we receive and our limited availability of funding. So for CDBG, we received over $7 million in requests and have about $4 million to distribute. So the budget before you reflects priorities that include the provision of basic urgent needs to the community. So those are things like such as food and childcare, homelessness prevention and case management, youth education and after school programs, the creation or preservation of affordable housing, entrepreneurship and small business supports, and critical improvements to facilities that serve the basic needs of our community. Some general notes that we've kept in mind while crafting this budget. We continue to have to emphasize shovel-ready and very clearly defined projects. We have to ensure that we're also delivering impactful and accessible services, and that there's a direct line between the CDBG dollars invested and eligible clients that are being served, and that we can document those clients. So the goal is to work collaboratively to get this budget into a final form. As everyone's aware, the City Council has to pass the budget twice. The budget will then be incorporated into our final consolidated plan to be put out for public comment and submitted to HUD for approval. Once HUD approves, we receive grant agreements and are able to execute and initiate these projects. Just a note on deadlines. Despite what's going on with COVID-19, HUD has retained that the recommended deadline for submission is still on or about May 15th, with the statutory deadline at August 16th, excuse me. So again, our goal is to try to submit to HUD as soon as possible so that we will receive our funds and be able to deploy them in the community as soon as possible. So I'm of course here to answer any questions and support the council in any way that I can.
Thank you, Emily.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Vice Chair Naducci.
No, I'm sorry. I think that was President Pro Tem Correa.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That was one of the things I asked. It's who I know is speaking. Can you please announce who you are when you, please?
Yes, it's Councilman Correa, Madam President.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Pro Tem Correa.
Yes, I just have a question for the city solicitor, Mario Montone. Just that if he could state that this meeting is being conducted under the guidelines of the governor's emergency meeting with the attorney generals, etc. If he could just state that on the record for us.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, I can state that the governor has issued an executive order essentially relaxing the rules of the Open Meetings Act. One of the things that she has implemented is that these open meetings can be conducted either telephonically or by some sort of video conference. This video conference that we're having now would meet all those requirements. Particularly, one of the most important things is that it is open and available to the public, and that the public would still have the right to speak when they normally would, as if we were having it in person. So for this particular meeting, members of the public do have their access. If there is a time for them to speak or be allowed to speak, we will honor that. And so this particular meeting, as far as my determination goes, meets all of the criteria laid out by the governor.
Thank you, Solicitor.
No problem.
Thank you, Solicitor.
Absolutely.
Again, I'm going to open the floor up for members of the committee to either share their concerns, ask Emily questions about the budget, or just express what you think about it.
Emily, it's Councilman Naducci.
Yes, Vice Chair Naducci.
Is Emily still with us?
Yes.
Yeah. Emily, I think it's important to know, because we do have Councilman Espinel with us for the first time. He's never served on the committee before. If the organizations have not applied, they can't be given funds. So we can't. So just so everybody understands that.
Correct. We issued a request for proposals in February that was very widely distributed. We maintain a list, what we call our CDBG listserv, which provides email notifications to over 500 email addresses for local nonprofits. Anyone who has interest or is eligible to apply and who signs up and wishes to be notified. We also broadcast it widely via social media. Again, I think we received 116 proposals, all of which were incredibly worthwhile endeavors and critical services. And we have really whittled that down towards those that we feel most address the priorities at this time.
Thank you, Emily. Also,
Madam-
thank Mayor Pro Temp Correa.
Pro Temp, yes. Emily, just so I understand that process. If there is currently a CDBG project that is currently underway and being has funding from CDBG, can we allocate money to that project from this budget, an existing funded CDBG project?
If it's a public facility or an infrastructure project, it's possible to increase the amount that's allocated to an existing project. We treat it as a phase 2, or could incorporate the funds if the project's not yet underway. The only
so if we wanted to like say cut some funds from facility improvements and put it towards an existing funded CDBG project, is that allowable?
We'd probably have to discuss the specifics. That's typically allowable if the project isn't yet under contract or underway. It can get a little complicated if it's already been, initiated and we're adding money after the fact, when it comes to procurement and sort of contract compliance. So it may be something we have to address on a case basis.
Okay.
So if I may, Emily, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry. Stop my earbud. If we have a project from last year's funds and it's in the works, we can move money from this year's funds into that particular project?
Potentially. It will depend on where it is in the process. There are procurement regulations that govern, that are triggered by the certain amount that we spend per project. So for example, the procurement for a $20,000 project is very different than for a $100,000 project. So as we add money, there may be requirements that are triggered. And so I think we would need to probably discuss on a project by project basis, sort of where it is in the pipeline and if adding money would sort of cause more trouble than it's worth. Particularly where this comes up is if we would be adding to the scope of work and we've already completed a federal environmental review, we may potentially reopen that entire process and have to start from scratch if we were to try to add additional scopes or phases. So it really is a project case by case basis.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Councilman Espinal.
Thank you, Chair. Emily, so you spoke about a couple of deadlines. Is that, what were those again?
So HUD's recommended deadline annually to submit your action plan or consolidated plan is May 15th. It's rare that we meet that deadline, but we try to be as close to it as possible. There is a drop dead statutory deadline of August 16th of every year that if you submit after that deadline, you actually forfeit your funds in their entirety. And so we want to try to get the budget in, as close to May 15th as we can. We also have learned that if you submit closer to that August deadline, that typically means that you don't get your grant agreement from HUD and your funds don't actually arrive until closer to November or December. And obviously the concern there is that we have organizations who are waiting for this funding to arrive. For example, our community centers utilize this funding for operations. And so having a big gap between when the fiscal year ends and the arrival of the new money can cause real challenges, cash flow challenges to agencies. It also means we bypass the fall construction season that we might otherwise have funding and be able to get projects in line for.
So Emily, as far as for new requests, I imagine that that's over with. This budget's pretty much set already. There's no opportunity for any new request.
So we can't accept additional applications under this particular round. There certainly are parks, playgrounds, ward funds are not yet designated, so there is some flexibility for city-sponsored projects. I would also make a note, and we'll discuss this, I'm sure, in future meetings, that there is CDBG stimulus money potentially coming to the city soon. And so there may be an opportunity for organizations to apply under that pot of funds.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Councilman. At this time, is there any more questions or concern as far as the budget that is in front of us from the council? If not, I would like to always revisit something that we're very passionate about, which is our housing repair fund. Emily, that's in the back.
Sure. So within the budget, you'll see an allocation to what's called the Home Repair Fund. This is a program that the city has operated in-house, I think for 4 or 5 years now. It's operated out of the Division of Housing and Community Development. We provide deferred payment 0% interest loans through these CDBG funds to owner occupants who are unable to afford critical repairs to their homes. So that might be if their roof fails or their heat fails and their boiler needs to be replaced in the middle of January. We help them with affording these repairs when they aren't able to go to a bank or go through their insurance. So we serve anywhere between 20 and 25 homeowners a year. Many of these are multifamily properties, so we are serving quite a number of housing units and bringing those up to code. So in my opinion, it's a wonderful program, and that's why you see it recommended in the budget for continuation.
Thank you for explaining that. I think it's very important that we recognize that that has been something that we're very proud of, because we want people to be able to keep their homes. So this is good timing for that. Emily, can you also, for the sake of and thank you again for making sure we recognize our new colleague at the table, also talk a little about the award funds, which is also inside of our CDBG budget, our neighborhood investment.
Sure.
And what it can be used for.
Absolutely. So historically, we have set aside funds in the CDBG budget for investments in the various wards. So there, within the mayor's budget, you'll see that those have placeholders for council members to select projects, eligible projects to occur in your neighborhoods. Those projects could include park improvements, sidewalk repairs and replacements, and improvements to eligible public facilities in your ward. And certainly, we are happy to provide any type of information we can to help you in the selection of those projects. But again, that is information that ideally should be funneled through the City Council office, Kyle Delgado, or Erlin, to select those projects so that we can insert those in the final form of this budget before passage.
Thank you. I also want to say that in Emily's presentation, Emily is also available for any questions about any of the organizations or any of the organizations that you may feel have applied and may not have received the funding. Emily is there to assist us with that, with transparency of these organizations. I'm going to also open the floor again for, open the meeting again for our colleagues to have any questions, any concerns at this time.
Madam Chair, Pro Tem Correa.
Prayer. Yes, sir.
Emily, if we can go to, Madam Chair, if we can go, and Emily, if we can go to page 2
Sure.
of the document, excuse me, community centers.
Yes.
So my question to Emily is, the Capital City Community Centers Child Care and Senior Services, they're being asking to be awarded $65,000. I was wondering if you can speak to, like, what type of services are they offering for the seniors through Capital City Community Center? Because I've had numerous issues with the senior center here, the Lillian Feinstein Senior Center on Chuckstone Avenue. It's right on the borderline of both Ward 6 and 5. Myself and a member of our staff went there on a tour because we received numerous complaints from the seniors there that they were being brought in at 10 and then shuffled back out by noontime, and that there was no director there because of lack of funding and whatnot. A lot of the programs have been cut. I met there with Sue Robio from Senior Services and whatnot, and there were a lot of concerns regarding Capital City operation of this center. Can you speak to that, or can we get some documentation or something from Capital City Community Center regarding what they're offering at the Feinstein Center?
Absolutely. I'm happy to share their proposal with you. And we could also potentially contemplate if you'd like to have them present and provide additional detail to the committee. Certainly, concerns have never been flagged to the Community Development Office. And when we monitor routinely, we've never had any concerns. As a community center, they have some of our highest numbers of beneficiaries, offering a very wide array of services. In terms of childcare, they're one of our highest rated Bright Stars childcare providers in the city. And certainly we try to do our best to satisfy their ask. The note I would make is that over the last few years, there have been cuts made to Lillian Feinstein. And I know that probably did have a bit of an impact on the level of service in recent years.
Emily.
Pro Temp Correa.
Emily.
Yes.
Yeah, she kind of broke up. Can she re-say what she said regarding the Feinstein Center in the last couple of months or something? It broke up. I didn't get what she said.
Sure. Sorry. Apologies. I know in I believe it was 2017 or 2018, we did cut Lillian Feinstein CDBG allocation, which may have had an impact on programming. But certainly that's something we could ask for additional information from the grantee, or potentially invite them to provide additional information.
Do we? This muted and unmuted stuff is killing me. Do we know why we cut funding to them in 2017, 2018, or whatever?
I think it was the shuffling of funds during the budget process, if I'm being honest.
Okay, because I mean, like I said, I received a lot of complaints from my constituents and seniors that frequent this center, and there's a lot of services and stuff that have been cut there, and I'd like to get some more information, if we could, Madam Chair, on what services they're providing with the $65,000 and to what centers, and what exactly is going on at the Lillian Feinstein Center as far as programming and funding and whatnot. When I met there with Mary Lee Dixon from our office and Sue Robio and Joe Lazzarini from the mayor's office, there was like a whole bunch of different conflicting stories that we were getting. They were like given like maybe $600 a month to operate. I mean, I don't know how you operate a senior center on $600 a month. So if we can get some more information, Madam Chair, I would kindly appreciate it.
Would it be your preference to have them present to us, Councilman? Because that's something we're going to open it up for as well. There's a question around a group that that is in the funding, and we do have questions about how they are operating. So we're going to be asking them to come in. I know that there are 2 other groups who have contacted us and would like to meet with us, which our clerk have in the office. So so far, if you would like to see them, that would be 4 groups that we would be asking for more information from.
So, Madam.
What do you prefer?
So, Madam.
Pro Tem?
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So yeah, Madam Chair, on behalf of my constituents and the amount of complaints and concerns, I would recommend that we have them come in and answer some questions for me. And I mean, this is a tough thing doing it this way because I don't feel comfortable doing it this way. I like to look somebody in the eye. You can tell by their body language and their eye movement and whatnot on whether or not they're telling you the truth and whatnot. And I mean, I would have liked to give the opportunity to have some of the seniors come in to express their concerns about what was going on to these people, the individuals that run Capital Center community centers, because they claim that their concerns to them have gone unanswered and whatnot. But yes, I would like to see if we could have them come in and answer some questions and provide some documentation of the amount of funding that is going to the Lillian Feinstein Center and what programs and stuff that they are offering there for the seniors, and why they're being brought in for lunch at 10 o'clock and having the bus out there to scoop them back out at 12. They got to swallow the food and then get right back out. So yes, I would like to have them come in.
Well noted, Pro Tem. I understand virtual meetings are not what we are used to, and especially for me. I mean, we all in an uncomfortable position right now, but we, as the IRP committee's been given a job to do, and we have to do it, and we want to be as transparent as possible about how we are allocating these funds in these organizations. So whatever we learn from these organizations is only going to help us in the future. So thank you. If you want, we would definitely note that we would like to have them in as well. Any other council people who are?
Madam Chair, it's Councilman Narducci, if I may.
Vice Chair.
Thank you. Emily, am I correct to say that all the community centers are just level funded from the previous years as we move forward?
The majority are at close or at level funding. The only notable, in my opinion, would be to Mount Hope Neighborhood Association, and that's as a result of their recent spending patterns. They've had difficulty spending their entire grant in recent years. Last year, they were only able to spend about 2,000 of the 25,000 we gave them. So a lot of that money ended up, having to be rescinded and could have gone to another organization that could have used it.
Thank you. And Madam Chair.
Vice Chair.
Okay, fortunately enough, we are in the situation where we really need to get things done this way, because I'm one of those that, every time I get off these conversations, I got nothing but a headache anyway. But what I would suggest is moving forward, that if there's organizations that are asking to come in and speak to us that we're already funding, that we thank them very much for their service and let them know that they're being funded, and, you know, not have them come in because, again, we're already funding them. That would just be, you know, a little advice that maybe we can look at.
Well taken, and I would also like to say, if, but also being transparent to my other colleagues, if there's someone that like Pro Temp just brought up this, I did question the funding, but I never thought about the role that they play. And we are in some strange times. We are in strange season right now, and we would want to make sure that our elders, our youth, and people who are the most vulnerable, acknowledged and taken care of at this time. So I think a lot of the thought that went in, even with Mount Hope Association, in spite of the fact that they are not a good steward. Right now, we know that these community centers are going to be a very base that's going to be used at the time when our children return to social life. And so we really expect them to really step up in a role. So thank you for commenting. And I don't want to close the floor without making sure that everybody's okay. So Sean, is everybody all right? They're not on mute and they're trying to talk.
Madam Chair, can I have a question? I have a question.
Councilwoman Costello. Please.
Okay. You know, I don't have community center in my wards because Elma Community Center was closed. And, you know, like, I have, you know, the city years make a good program for kids for Southside. And they applied for, I believe, $38 something, and they can get only 15. And you know, like, they don't spend like a lot of money in my ward. And I don't understand why said that organization applied for, you know, for such a money, you know, like why they court off. Because, you know, I don't have like, they don't reimburse money in Ward 9. I don't, you know, like only the organization apply in my ward is the City Arts and Joint Boys. And I believe, you know, like, okay, Councilwoman don't have any community center no more, and they spend like 40,000, 18,000, 20,000, and I don't get it why they don't give you like something, you know, in my community, like they can see, like they can continue to service these kids and the programs.
Thank you, Councilwoman. As you know, first of all, I'm looking back to try, can you tell me what page City Years on that you're looking at? I'm sorry, because we are doing it remotely. And
okay, City Arts, I believe is in the second page. No, second? 1, 2, the third.
Okay, second page, third.
Let me see, what is it? Maybe this. No, is that, you know, you can take it 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4. You know, the CBG public service.
Oh, okay. Emily can speak on that, and it's good you brought that up because we do have a new councilman that has joined our committee. So Emily, could you talk about the public service and tell us why such little bit of money in that?
Absolutely. So there are a number of different categories under which organizations can apply. The most competitive of which is the public service category, which includes not only nonprofit social service providers, but our community centers as well. So the amount that we can distribute to community centers and social services is capped, and it's also where we get the most applications. So it's incredibly competitive, and the decisions are very, very difficult. Historically, the most robust funding has gone to our community centers because by volume, they tend to be serving the highest number of folks and providing the most basic of needs to our families. And then we have other private nonprofits that offer after-school youth programs or more tailored programs to specific populations. Typically, those we do our best to fund, but it usually at a lower level than our community centers. I would note that we do fund the CAP Food Pantry, which was housed at Elmwood, was relocated to 807 Broad Street. That allocation has actually been increased this year because we wanted to support their ask for transportation services for seniors to make sure that folks from Elmwood could be transported to the food pantry and not, unfortunately bear the brunt of the closure of that building. So that CAP Food Pantry allocation has actually been increased by $6,000 over last year.
Thank you.
Is possible to give a little more money to the city arts because they save a lot of kids in that community, Ward 10, 11, and 9.
City arts is also under public service.
Yes.
Right?
So
Yes.
I think we can have, if I may, Madam Chair, Pro Tem.
Yes, please.
So I think we can, for what the colleague is asking for additional funding for the Providence City Arts for Youth program, I think we can have this discussion as we move along and discuss and see if there's some way we can move some funding around to try to accommodate some additional funding towards this program to address the needs of those 3 wards.
Thank you very
Madam
much.
Chair, Madam Chair, if I may. Thanks. Am I okay to go?
Vice-
Thank you. Emily.
Yes.
Emily, is the Providence City Arts, City Year Arts, do they get any funding out of the city's budget?
City Arts for Youth does not, to my knowledge.
Okay. Thank you. And I know there's some organizations that get money out of the city budget also.
Okay.
Yes, and we do bear that in mind as we make funding decisions.
Again, I would like to repeat what Pro Temp have said. Our usual way of working in the committee is to continue to work with our colleagues to make sure that we are trying to do our best to accommodate different ward needs, special ed acts. We can't really say right now until we continue the process. So at this time, I think I am supposed to receive. Mr. Clerk, help me with this.
Madam Chair, it's just a motion to continue.
Oh, okay. I would like to make, I'd like to
Up
entertain.
here on the agenda until we get the final budget submitted sometime in the upcoming week.
Okay.
So, Madam
Chair, I'd make a motion to continue.
Vice Chairman, a motion have been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and by Vice Chairman and second by Councilwoman Costello. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's any abstain? I mean any opposition to it? If not, let's have Madam Clerk read the second item on the agenda.
Discussion relative to presentations from community organizations. The following have been invited: Bonnie Nickerson, Director, Department of Planning and Development; Emily Friedman, Director, Division of Community Development, Department of Planning and Development.
Thank you very much for being here. So right now, ask Bonnie Nicholas from our director, she's a director by Department of Planning and Development, to please give us some updates there.
We just need to do some administrative cleanup. Could the person with the phone ending in 756 identify yourself or just state that you're a guest?
President Matos, I'm sorry, I'm connected through the phone.
Okay.
Okay, it's easier to hear that way.
Yes, makes sense.
Thanks.
I'd like to acknowledge that the president is present.
So noted.
And the phone ending in number 347, could you please identify yourself or state that you're a guest?
That's Helen Anthony, and I'm also connected through the phone.
Okay, great,
I'd like
thank you.
to acknowledge on record that Councilwoman Helen Anthony is present.
So noted.
So we don't seem to have Bonnie Nickerson present, Chairwoman.
Oh, then we have Emily. Emily, is there any discussion related to the presentation of
So the only note I would make on presentations is that, as just a reminder that it is who you invite to present is at the discretion of the committee. Organizations, if you are not able to accommodate their presentation, you can feel free to always refer them back to me, and I'm happy to offer a debrief to any applicant about how they scored, why they were or were not included in the budget, and keep them apprised of budget progress.
That's very helpful, Emily. It's good to hear that, and the committee will do just that, I'm sure. Is there any other business before this body?
So, Madam Chair, if I may, Pro Temp?
Yes, Pro Temp, correct.
So I gather we are done with discussion on the budget itself before us until our next meeting?
Continue it. We will continue this discussion.
All right, because I know that we continued it. I still had some questions on a few other things that hopefully Emily could have came back at the next meeting and had it rather than now we have to do. All right, that's fine.
Pro Temp, I sit silently for a while because I understand that we are doing this virtual. And that's why I am not speed talking, and I am trying to take my breath to wait for people to step up. I was appreciative when I heard Councilwoman Costello step up because I knew she was in the meeting. So, is there any way you can talk to Emily off record, and Emily can bring that information back before the body?
I can have a conversation with our staff and I'll see if I can get my answers that way there for the time being. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank the committee for your time that you committed to this. Just to let you know, this is the beginning of the process. It's very important that you feel inclusive and be a part of this, like tonight. We will be talking to these organizations, and thank you, Pro Temp, for making need to know more about as we move forward. So again, if nothing else pressing, any of my colleagues have anything else, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair.
Having no other business, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
motion have been made by Vice Chairman and second by Pro Temp. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sending you all a big hug from the phone. Have a good evening.
Good
Thank you,
evening.
Chairwoman,
Thank
you
you.
also.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, Tina. Bye, Sherry.
Bye, guys.
Bye.